17 persons shot, 8 died in a shooting rampage in Clarendon. Peter Champagnie calls for the reintroduction of hanging. Taxi operator shot after trying to disarm a policeman. This is Undiluted News. Mikey Bones reporting. 8 people are dead and several others hospitalized after gunmen went on a rampage shooting spree at an event in Cherry Tree Lane, 4 Paths, Clarendon on Sunday night. At least 17 persons were shot during the incident, which occurred sometime before 9 o'clock. And it's reported that in the first attack, residents were gathered at a car wash in the community about 8:45 p.m. for a birthday celebration when a white Axio motorcar drove up and 3 men armed with guns alighted from the vehicle. The men opened gunfire at a group of people who ran in different directions. When the shooting subsided, it was discovered that 4 people died on the spot and 3 others were pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. Police reported that the men drove from the car wash in a direction of the Maypen bypass, and on reaching a section of the roadway while still in the Cherry Tree Lane community, they stopped at another gathering. 2 men reportedly exit the vehicle with handguns and opened fire at that group before escaping. 1 person was shot and killed from that group. 9 people were injured in the first gun attack, including a 1-year and a 9-month-old toddler, while 8 were shot in the second attack. The deceased have been identified as Keval Daly, a 27-year-old cosmetologist, Lawrence Francis, a 50-year-old construction worker, Diamond Bennett, a 20-year-old cashier, Aiden Bartley, a 7-year-old student of 4 Paths Primary, Errol Stewart, otherwise called Wagga, a 58-year-old butcher, Jermaine Boot, otherwise called Blacks, Courtney Messam, otherwise called Dumby, and a woman identified only as Margaret. The police are theorizing that the attack may be connected to reprisal activities from a few years back. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has condemned the attack, and is urging the police to utilize every resource and power to swiftly apprehend the perpetrators. While Prime Minister Andrew Holness commented on the act of criminality after he received a preliminary briefing from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, he advised the police to leave no stone unturned in bringing to justice the criminals who perpetrated what he termed the dastardly act. And here is a report from DCP Fitz Bailey.
About 9 p.m., a group of citizens from the Cherry Tree Lane community of 4 Paths, Clarendon, were assembled at a car wash playing bingo when a group of men approached and opened fire, killing 8 persons, including an 8-year-old boy and 3 females. 9 persons, including a 1-year and 9-month-old baby, were shot and injured and are at the hospital. It is an unfortunate and brutal incident, one that I think borders on terrorism, because I think this act is to instill fear and to intimidate the community. The police is committed to ensure that justice is done, and we are using all our resources to ensure that the perpetrators are found and face justice. We are at an early stage of our investigation. The scene is currently being processed. Consequently, I will not say much more, but we promise this country and this nation that we are going to get to the bottom of this, and those who are responsible will face justice.
And that's the voice of DCP Fitz Bailey. Meanwhile, breaking news last evening is that 4 men from that same Cherry Lane area riding motorcycles were arrested just meters away from where the shooting took place. These men are from the Cherry Lane area, and they were on their way to the suspected community where the previous gunmen are from, in a bid to seek revenge for the 8 persons who were killed. And this is how people seek justice in Jamaica, as the perpetrators, usually when caught for committing murders, are either back out on the street within days, as the inept justice system allows the judge and the high-priced lawyers to get them off scotch-free, and the killing cycle continues. But it was the same type of shooting that the police helped to stop, as these 4 men were just gonna do the same in the other community, look for a crowd, and then they were gonna open fire. May the good Lord help the families of those who lost their loved ones, and may God bless Jamaica. A Kingston man who is accused of killing a man 8 months ago on Tavares Crescent in the parish was caught in Portland by police during an operation last Wednesday. The accused 23-year-old Michael Jr. Adams, otherwise called Michael Irons and Blacks, was charged in connection with the death of a man with whom he reportedly had a confrontation on December 11 of 2023. Adams, a carpenter from East Road in Kingston 12, was charged by the West Kingston Police with murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, unauthorized possession of ammunition, and using a firearm to commit a felony. Adams was held for the death of 25-year-old Usher Morgan from 4th Street in Trenchtown, Kingston 12. And it was reported that about 6:45 p.m. Morgan was sitting on a bicycle talking to Adams when they got into an altercation. And during a struggle, the police said a firearm was brandished and Morgan was shot several times in the head and upper body. Adams then fled the scene. Police assisted the deceased man to hospital where doctors pronounced him dead on arrival. More than 9 spent casings were found at that murder scene. Meanwhile, defense attorney King's Counsel Peter Champagnie is calling for lawmakers to amend legislation to make the death penalty attainable in instances such as Sunday night's deadly attack in Clarendon, where 17 people were shot, 8 of whom died in the attack. Mr. Champagnie, while stressing that he supports due process in law and fair trials, said those who are convicted in relation to the mass shooting must face the gallows. Noting that the death penalty still remains in Jamaica's law books, Mr. Champagnie insists that extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures, but the judge them only sentencing murderers to 20 years or less. A taxi operator who attempted to disarm a police officer in St. Thomas on Monday morning was shot and injured. Reports are that about 11:30 a.m. yesterday, a police team was carrying out traffic enforcement duties in the vicinity of the Hope Road Transport Center in Morant Bay when a motorist was observing breach of the Road Traffic Act. While the police were speaking with the motorist, he reportedly became boisterous and in an attempt to arrest him, a struggle ensued. The police said the motorist reached for a machete from his car and hit an officer on his hand. He then reportedly grabbed onto the policeman's firearm, which was around his shoulder. The policeman then used another firearm from his waist and shot the motorist. The taxi operator was assisted to hospital by the police, where he is now being treated. Onto sports, despite some critics bemoaning the performance of the nation's track and field athletes at the just concluded Olympic Games in Paris, Radio Jamaica sports analysts Bruce James and Dwayne Extell are of the view that the athletes did well, especially given that there were several historic achievements. Jamaica's medal count for Paris 2024 ended with 1 gold, 3 silver and 2 bronze, totaling 6 medals. Only triple jumper Shanika Ricketts medal for the women. They believe that come next year for the World Championship in Tokyo, the athletes on the track who did medal will want to give a good account of themselves. Onto football, Reggae Boys head coach Steve McLaren has not only promised recruitment of top players from the diaspora for the national team, but also a clean slate for players already in the team who have had issues with the Jamaica Football Federation. And this includes Leon Bailey, who is suspended indefinitely. McLaren, announced by the JFF on July 30 and officially introduced on Thursday last, will continue working at English Premier League team Manchester United as its first team coach while in charge of Jamaica. He said everyone will get a fresh and fair look as long as they're willing to play for country. McLaren's first match is in the CONCACAF Nations League against Cuba at the National Stadium on Friday, September 8, and it is unknown whether the JFF will lift Bailey's suspension for this game or whether he is interested in returning to the Jamaica squad. And if you ever miss the news on this radio station, please go to YouTube and type in JAMERICAN Undiluted News. Listen, like, share, and subscribe to keep it going. That's news and sports on your favorite radio station. My name is Mikey Bones. Have a good day, everybody. I gone.